seen it happen many times in my lifetime of working, where Friday afternoon someone gets tapped on the shoulder and says, "There's an 8:30 meeting on Monday morning. Can you be at that meeting?" And guess what? It's a redundancy. Your job no longer exists. How do people cope with that feeling? It must be a sinking, horrible feeling. What do you suggest and some tips for them?
Yesterday, I started with a new client who said, honestly, I thought I was doing so well. And he was a national sales manager, and everything was going well. He was getting so many wins under his belt. He was meeting his KPIs, the key performance indicators. He was bringing money in, but they decided, no, we're going to give the role. We're going to get rid of that role. We don't need you anymore. However, they were taking on a couple of younger people. Now, that really hurt him because he said, what did I do wrong? I said, honestly, it's all to do with the numbers. And for organizations, of course, they need to stay profitable. And when there are redundancies, it hurts the company as well. They don't want to let people go, but sometimes they have to. And a lot of the large organizations, whether it's the airlines or manufacturing or pharmaceuticals, they're all downsizing as well. And many people are offshoring. And for example, a lot of call centers, they've been closing down because they can offshore because it's a lot cheaper to run a business overseas. Sometimes they realize it might not be quite as efficient, and then they start onshoring again and they have to bring people back in. But when someone has gone through a redundancy, first of all, they think it's personal, but it's not personal. Then they've got to realize that they're still the same professional that they've always been, even though they don't now have a job. They're in transition. They're not unemployed. Get that word unemployed out of your vocabulary completely, because you're in transition, and what you're doing is exploring something new, something different that you can do that's going to be very rewarding for yourself as well. And it's scary. You go through this transition curve where it's like, oh, I've spent the best years of my life working here. How could they do this to me? So they get a little bit in denial and quite upset, and then they feel fearful, anxious, angry, and they jump around all of these emotions. And once you get through that stage, it becomes a little bit stressful, very, very stressful for some. And you might want to just stay in bed all day and say, okay, put the covers over your head and say, someone else fix it for me. And that's where it really helps if you've got a coach or someone who's supportive or a mentor to help you guide you through it, so that you can set a plan so that you can market yourself again. One of the most important things is to market yourself is to find out what makes you tick, what your skills and knowledge are, what's transferable, what isn't transferable, your skills and knowledge, your values, your personal values and career values. Once you know that, then you can create a very powerful resume, a LinkedIn profile, and start to market yourself.
Jane, that's fantastic. And we've really enjoyed talking with you today here at Joy's World. That word transition, I think that's a very important word to remember if you're changing roles or you're being made redundant. So thank you for coming along today and sharing your story and your book of navigating career crossroads. It's been really lovely to have you here today and hearing your story.
Oh, it's been great talking to you, Karen.